Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of making coiled coils. And in this second part, I thought I'd like to show you how to make a coiled coil on a drill and save yourself loads and loads of time. To be honest, I very rarely make them by hand now. I predominantly make them on the drill, especially in wrapping the initial first coil. Pretty much always done on the drill. I then might have to do the second part by hand, but most of the time you can use the drill for most of it. So let's get started on this tutorial, shall we? Before I get started on showing you how to make coiled coils on a video, I need to talk to you about what's the best drill for the job. So really, what the main thing you're looking for when using a drill is that the chuck meets in the center, because you're going to need to be able to grip quite fine wires. So that's all you're looking for, is that the chuck that meets in the center. That's the most important thing as well. Another good thing to look for is that you have a trigger that's variable speed, so you can go slowly or you can go really fast. And the only other thing that's quite good actually, with especially modern drills, is the battery pack. So you can stick the drill down on the deck and it's relatively parallel to the surface of your bench. So yeah, that's all you're looking for in a drill. And the most important thing, again, just to remind you, is that the chuck meets in the middle. For this demo, I'm going to use the same wire sizes that I used in part 1, how to make a coiled coil by hand. So I'm actually going to cut a little bit more of the 0.6 mil, which is the 23 gauge. I'm going to cut 15 centimeters this time instead of 12 centimeters, which I cut in the last video. The reason for the extra few centimeters is that you have to place it down the drill and into the chuck, and the chuck will take up a little bit more wire. We're going to take that base wire now that we've just cut, the first base wire, and we're going to place it into our drill, like so. Now this is a good example why we cut that extra couple of centimeters at the start there instead of the 12 like we did in the part 1 video. We cut 15 centimeters. It's because of the chuck. The chuck will eat up a few centimeters. So yeah, place your wire down into the chuck and then tighten up. There we go, nice and tight. Run your fingers along the wire. Make sure it's straight, like so. We're then going to take our ruler and we're going to mark down the 5 centimeters. Same size coil that we made in part 1. We're then going to take our wrapping wire. I recommend pulling a bit off for this, leaving it to one side. And we're going to place our wrapping wire down the side of the chuck. Can you see that? Going down the side of the chuck there. And then bring it under the base wire and wrap around over the top until you got 4 or 5 really good, nice tight wraps. Just get it started. And there we go, that'll do. I think I've got 4 there. Again, just run your fingers down the wire. Make sure they're nice and straight. So before I start going with the drill here, don't be tempted to just put your finger down hard on the trigger, because it's just all going to go wrong. Start out slowly. And the best tips I can give here is this is how I hold it. I like to balance that base wire across my index finger, and I like to pinch the wrapping wire between my thumb, like so. There we go. Let's get going so you can see how to do this. And there we go. Just gently. Let's go very slowly when you first start out. There we go. I can move my thumb up now, and it helps balance the wire. There we go. Go a little bit quicker. I'm going to stop there. Got a little bit of a gap. Be careful when you stop, especially when you're wrapping sterling silver wire, because if you're not careful, because sterling silver wire has a little bit more spring to it, it goes and it'll unwrap those last few wraps there. So, but if you do have a gap, it's the same trick as normal. Just stop. Get your pliers in there or fingernails and just push them down. Or sometimes better to hold the wire like so and then use your fingernails to push down. Close the gap up. Now, I recommend when doing long coils on the drill, when you don't stop, just go to the end, because sometimes it can be a bit tricky to start back up again, especially when they're really long. Right, let's get going again. So you see I pinch it between finger and thumb. And just slowly, there we go. It's going slowly, won't go too fast. Keeping an eye on what I'm doing. But once you get really good at it and competent, you can really start turning the heat up and really going for it. And let's finish off big, all the way to the end. And as you get to your mark, slow down, stop. And then take your flush cutters and trim off. There we go. You've now made a coiled coil. Good thing is here, if it hasn't cut into the base wire, or it has a little bit here. Sometimes it can cut into the base wire. Normally, you can slide these off a lot easier. But anyway, I'm happy with that. Let's take that out. Before we move on to the next part of the drill, let's just tidy our ends up. Let's make sure they're nice and tidy and nothing's sticking up. Let's trim that end off. Just pinching them. There we go. And also, we need to be able to move our coil. Now, if you find the coil is sort of like bit into the base wire, just twist it between finger and thumb, and then it will move up and down. So we just need to move it out of the way. The moment I'm just going to tie those ends up. It's sticking up a little bit there. Excellent. So before we move on to the next part, we're going to need to cut our next piece of wire. And again, I'm going to be using a piece of 1mm for the next base wire. And again, don't need to cut that much. 8 centimeters is enough. That's plenty. Taking that 1mm wire, we're now going to place that into our drill and into the chuck, like so, and tighten that up. Now we're going to take our coil we've just made. Now again, this is why you just slide it down a little bit if you can. If not, like I say, just twist it between finger and thumb and it will go down its screw thread. Now, just like we did with the wrapping wire, we're going to place this into here, like so, and then we're going to wrap it round the 1mm wire, just the once, over the top, just so it's biting 1mm wire, like so. If you want to be safe, get your pliers out and just give it a little squeeze, just to make sure it's biting that 1mm wire. Then, take your coil and slide it. Typical doing a demonstration, it doesn't want to go. Slide it all the way up until it meets at the top. There we go. And again, start slowly. I hold it slightly different this time now. Instead of doing that, I now pinch it between finger and thumb, like so. Let me see. Now, hopefully this is going to work. First time. Now just slowly go. There we go. Just go slowly until it bites. There we go. You can see it's bitten. And then once it's bitten, go for it. Now, my best tip here is don't stop until you get to the end. Again, it's one of those things that works out, can be a little tricky, especially when you're making longer ones. Here we go. Let's go. There we go. To the end, like so. Again, you could just slide that off and put it on another piece of work, or take it out of the drill and tidy the ends up. But there we go. That's how you make a coiled coil on a drill. I fully recommend that you practice making coiled coils by hand before you delve into the world of using the drill. The reason for saying this is that you need to perfect it first, because I have seen this in the past when looking at work online, that you see one coil is definitely been made by the drill and the other coil has been made by hand, and there's a massive difference between the two. So just for consistency, I recommend, until you can kind of nearly mirror what the drill does, I recommend just stick with your hand, making them by hand, and then down the line start using the drill. And it's great making by hand because obviously you practice your wrapping and you will get better and better the more and more you do it as well as you go along. So yeah, thank you for joining me in this video. It's been great fun showing you how to make coiled coils on a drill, and please join me in part 3 where I'm going to explore how to use it, your coiled coil, within your work, and to look at the screw thread that runs through the coiled coil as well, and how to utilize that perfectly. But yes, thank you very much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you everyone for watching. To support this channel and help me keep making more videos, please come on over and join my Patreon, where you will get access to all my videos early, free downloads of my books and tutorials, entries into my giveaways, plus more. Thank you. Bye bye.